The 2024 SunBet ZX10 Masters Cup is proudly brought to you by SunBet, Red Square, Bridgestone the tyre of choice, and Kawasaki South Africa. Welcome back to Killarney in Cape Town for race 2 of round 9 of the 2024 SunBet ZX10 Masters Cup. If race 1 was anything to go by, race 2 was going to offer us plenty of thrills. Hopefully a lot less spills as well, with the likes of Ian Harwood crashing not long after that bad accident from Trevor Westman. Unfortunately, both riders won't be taking the start for race 2. Another man encountering some bad luck in race 1 was the number 10 of Perron Parasimon, who encountered some technical issues, what looked like clutch issues, on his beautiful ZX-10R. Luckily, the ZX-10 Cup family rallied around Perron, getting his machine ready, and I'm sure Perron would be back stronger come race 2. Another man who crashed in race 1 was the 117 of David Feringa, the juggernaut. But with the SunBet ZX10 Masters Cup family sorting that motorbike out, he was hoping to come back stronger for race 2. Round 9 at Killarney also saw the welcome return of the number 20 of Matthew Deuce. Matthew unfortunately had a nasty accident in his first ever SunBet ZX10 Masters Cup race a while back, which resulted in him losing his leg. What Matthew didn't know, however, was that the whole MotorWise team, as well as David Enticott, had surprised him with his ZX-10R machine, ready and adjusted and suited. Now for his disability, he was eager to get back on board and join the SunBet ZX10 Masters Cup once again. Off track, this just goes to prove how close the SunBet ZX10 Masters Cup family really is. However, once the riders get on track, it is gloves off and the action becomes fierce and highly contested. Let's remind ourselves of the combined qualifying for race 2. Trevor Westman on pole, unfortunately sidelined from race 2, ahead of race 1's winner AJ Fenter, David Enticott, Damien Pervocati, Han McMahon, Graham from Midar, David Feringa in 7th, James Barson in 8th, Peter de Vos in 9th, Dieter Huisman rounding out the top 10, Lubas, Gerard Frey, Ian Harwood, Perron Parasimon, Sifiso Temba, Lionel Black, and Daryl Barrington in 17th place. The riders took their grid positions for the penultimate round of the 2024 SunBet ZX10 Masters Cup season, who would take glory in race 2 of round 9 here at Killarney. The lights went off and it was a great start for the whole front row. AJ Fenter getting the whole shot ahead of David Enticott, who was challenging him into turn 1. Another poor start from Damien Pervocati, but a great start from the number 4 of Han McMahon. He slotted himself into 3rd place early on, ahead of the number 1 of Graham from Midar, as we take a ride on board with a 78 of David Enticott. A great initial launch, but a little bit of a wheelie and a bog, and that allowed the number 39 of AJ Fenter to take the whole shot and lead the pack heading into and out of turn 1. Would David Enticott be able to mount a challenge? Only time would tell as the race continued. Graham from Midar managing to get back past the number 4 of Han McMahon heading into turn 2, and Damien Pervocati doing his utmost to try and get past the number 4 as well. The number 15 of James Barson was in 6th, ahead of Peter de Vos in 7th. Perron, a great start up inside the top 8 in 8th position. And Daryl Barrington in 14th place, looking to get his claws into the riders ahead of him. As the riders made their way down the back straight, for the first time of asking, it was AJ Fenter ahead of David Enticott, Graham from Midar, Han McMahon, Damien Pervocati, James Barson, Peter de Vos, first of the veteran riders, and a big battle behind. The number 10 of Perron Parasimon, the number 70 of Dieter Huisman, the number 63 Sifiso Temba, and that's Lubas. And right behind him, looking at closing that gap, was the number 30 of Daryl Barrington. The number 78 looking for a move on the inside of AJ Fenter, and he was in turn looking at keeping the number 1 of Graham from Midar behind him. A great outing so far, a great weekend here at Killarney for David Enticott, he would be looking at finishing it off on a high. So the leading group of riders starting to pull the gap on that battle for 8th place. And now Dieter Huisman had managed to get ahead of Baron Peresman. As the riders made their way into turn 1 for yet another time of asking, AJ Venter was starting to pull a little bit of a gap now on David Enticott, and 3rd place is now in the hands of the number 821 of Damien Perificati. Out front, it was no holds bar as the top 5 riders were now starting to stretch their legs and pull a little bit of a gap on the number 15, still monkey back man of James Parson. Peter de Vos, first of the veteran riders, was having a great outing there in 7th place, while in 8th place Dieter Huisman had now made his way to the front of that group and started to pull out a little bit of a gap. As the riders made their way down the back straight again, it was AJ Venter getting pressured by the number 78 of David Enticott, who was having a fabulous outing here at Killarney. Would he go one better than he did in the first race? Only time would tell, but he would have to get past AJ Venter on the 39 to do so. Peter de Vos on the number 17, making all sorts of shapes on his ZX-10R as he looked to chase down the leading group of riders ahead of him. AJ Venter and David Enticott were now starting to pull a bit of a gap on this podium battle, which included the likes of the 821 of Damien Perificati, Han McMahon on the number 4, and the number 1 of Graham from Midor. While further behind Graham, unfortunately, the number 15 of James Parson was starting to lose tabs on the podium battle. It was now a case to see who could get the best out of their Bridgestone tyres, who could get the best out of their Kawasaki ZX-10R machine, and most importantly, who could get the best out of themselves. Out front, Damien Perificati was looking for redemption after a poor race 1, encountering some mechanical issues on board his ZX-10R. So far though, in race 2, no such issues for the 821 man. The number 17 of Peter de Vos was trying his utmost to keep tabs on the riders ahead, but that was a battle he was unfortunately losing. Behind the leaders, the battle for the top 8 was heating up nicely, currently held by the number 70 of Dieter Huisman. He was ahead of the 21 of Gerard Frey, the number 10 of Baron Peresman, and the number 63 of Sifiso Temba, who was having a sterling outing on board his Kawasaki ZX-10R. Behind Sifiso, Lionel Black, also on the number 61, having a great outing. And behind those riders was the number 12 of Lubas, who was doing his utmost to catch the group ahead of him. Dieter Huisman, the man in 8th place, was now slowly but surely starting to pull a gap on the group of riders behind him, and that group was led by none other than the number 21 of Gerard Frey. While out front, the pressure was mounting, and it was mounting on the shoulders of AJ Venter, as David Enticott had managed to close that gap slightly on the number 39. The battle for 3rd place was also heating up quite nicely, and that was of course between Damien Perificati, Han McMahon and Graham from Midor. Perron having a much better outing. Seems like whatever issues he encountered in the first race were well and truly sorted for the second. AJ Venter had now seemed to break away from the number 78 of David Enticott. David maybe overriding, making 1 or 2 mistakes, allowing AJ Venter to rebuild that gap, that advantage, that all-important advantage, which would be vital come the end of the race. No such advantage for the battle for the podium, and that was still in the hands of Damien Perificati, and he was coming under immense pressure from the number 4 of Han McMahon, who was having a great outing on board his ZX-10, and Graham from Midor looking to pick up any pieces that might fall his way in 5th. The battle for 8th place was closing up, and that was in the hands of Dieter Huisman, who was getting closed down by the number 21 of Gerard Frey. While further back, Lionel Black had managed to find his way past September, who was still having a great outing on board his ZX-10R. Han McMahon made his move for the final podium spot, diving on the inside of the 821 of Damien Purificati at the end of the back straight with a great move. Demoting Damien down to 4th place, Graham from Midar still in that 5th place, trying his utmost to get past now 821 man. The depleted 14-rider field was now starting to stretch out with only 2 major battles out on the racetrack, and that was the battle for the final podium position in 3rd, and of course that intense battle for 8th place. At this late stage of the race, McMahon was looking at putting out an advantage on Damien Purificati and Graham from Midar behind him, while there was no advantage now in that battle for 8th place. Gerard Freyd closed down on Dieter Huisman, and Lionel Black was now putting pressure on Perron Peresselman. Behind Black was Sifiso Temba and the number 12 of Lubas, who was closing down his teammate in hopes to get by late on in the race. Behind the leading 5 riders, the number 15 of James Barson was having a great outing, a great but lonely outing in 6th place. While the 3 riders involved in the podium battle, I'm sure, were hoping for a little less company. It was still in the hands of Han McMahon on the number 4, ahead of Damien Purificati and Graham from Midar, having a great ride still out in 5th place. While in 7th place, the number 17 of Peter de Vos was starting to slow, looking like he was encountering some issues on board his ZX-10R. And surely enough, not long after, the raise of the hand, pulling off the track, a puff of smoke, and that was his day done and dusted. Peter showing his experience, putting off the track as soon as he realized he had an issue on his motorcycle. AJ Venter looked to have this double victory in his hands, as he had now quite a healthy margin over David Enticott, who in turn looked to have 2nd place, well and truly sewn up. AJ Venter started making his way past the back markers. That was the number 30 of Daryl Barrington. While this battle for the final podium positions was still raging on between McMahon, Purificati and the number 1 of Graham from Midar, who would come out on top, and who would come out on top between this friendly battle here. This was a battle amongst teammates, and Lubas on the number 12 had now managed to find a way past his teammates on the number 63, Sifiso Temba, while further ahead of them, Perron was still under immense pressure from the number 61 of Lionel Black. But who would come out on top in this friendly battle amongst teammates? Obviously, there was a lot at stake, a lot to brag about come the end of the race. The leading 4 riders had managed to get past the back markers without any issues, and that is always an important thing, as they can play their part in the results up front. A bit of a twitch, a bit of a moment up front for the number 70 of Dieter Huisman, as he was going very defensive, trying to keep the hard charging Gerard Freyd behind him, while hard charging was the name of the game for the number 12 of Lubas. Out front though, and no one could hold a candle to the number 39 of AJ Venter, who was having a great outing here in Cape Town. A double victory on the cards perhaps for the number 39 man. Not a lot of laps left now. While this battle for 8th place, Gerard Freyd up the inside. Oh, and Dieter Huisman looking to return the favor coming out of turn 1. So now Gerard Freyd, who was doing all the chasing beforehand, was now getting chased and getting pressurized by the number 70 of Dieter Huisman, who was having a great outing on board his Kawasaki ZX-10R. AJ Venter was looking at back-to-back victories here in Cape Town, and that was important for his title chase as well. He was looking at getting those overall top 3 positions in the Cup come the end of 2024. Lionel Black had now fallen into the arms of the hard-charging Lubas, who had made his move, while further up the road, disaster struck for Dieter Huisman as he ran off track at the end of the back straight. A very easy thing to do on the brakes at the end of the back straight. Very easy to overshoot that corner, possibly making a mistake. I know he was in that battle with Gerard Frey, so was there perhaps contact? Did he get a helping hand, or did he just overshoot his braking marker? Despite a tricky start, Lubas had now worked his way all the way up into 9th place, ahead of Lionel Black in 10th and Sifiso Themba in 11th place. That mistake from Huisman on the penultimate lap had now allowed the number 21 of Gerard Frey to seemingly cruise to that 8th place. A great ride on his return to the 2024 SunBet ZX10 Masters Cup. And there you can see how much time Dieter Huisman actually lost, now getting lapped by the number 39 of AJ Venter on the last lap. So not the result that Dieter was looking for after setting impressive lap times and looking or staring down the barrel of a top 8 finish. Lubas was still in 9th place, but now the number 63 was in 10th. And that was Sifiso Themba, who had made his way past Lionel Black and was looking at chasing down his teammate late on to get that inter-team sort of glory. Would he be able to do that come the finish line? A lonely ride in 6th place for James Barson, and a lonely ride out front for the leader, AJ Venter, on the Truvon Volt Market ZX-10R. And he exited the final corner to take the checkered flag for a brilliant double victory on the day. So a great performance from AJ Venter. Likewise, a great performance in 2nd place from David Enticott. A great weekend out here at Killarney. And the battle for 3rd. And it was yet another 3rd place for the number 4 of Han McMahon, who managed to hold off the hard-charging Damien Purificati. After dropping back in the last couple of laps, Graham from Idar took a lonely but great 5th place ahead of the number 15 of James Barson. So there you have it, the penultimate round of the 2024 SunBet ZX10 Masters Cup season is done and dusted. As we look forward to the season finale at Swartkops, let's take a look at the results of race 2. AJ Venter taking a brilliant victory, and that's a double victory for the day, ahead of David Enticott, Han McMahon in 3rd, Damien Purificati in 4th, Graham from Idar in 5th, James Barson, Gerard Frey, a great ride in 7th, Perron Pereseman in 8th place, Lubas in 9th, Sifiso Themba in 10th, Lionel Black in 11th, ahead of Dieter Huisman after that mistake in 12th, and Daryl Barrington in 13th place.
We're here with the one and only, the Kawasaki. Slaki, tell us a little bit about your week. It started off a little bit with like a blare. Tell us about your blare.
My blare wasn't lekker. We went out in Q1. Noticed I had no oil in the bike, and just after rebuilding the engine, I didn't want to take chances, so I was scurrying around to find oil. Eventually found oil, and then when I went out, I had no fuel pressure. So you get on the gas and there's no power, so it was a complete mess. But anyways,
Okay.
but the race went well. I mean, 3rd overall in race 1 and race 2, so it was amazing. It was a great battle with Damien Purificati and the guys. Loved it. Loved every second of it. Loved the track. Pity about the 2 guys that crashed, Ian and Trevor. Guys, get well really soon. But yeah, besides that, that was an awesome weekend. It's really great.
I did see you have some of your best moments on track, some really good battles, and yes, I must say over the last couple of months, you've gotten really, really fast. You're catching the fast boys in the front soon.
I need to get used to that.
Yeah, you need to get used to it. And then tell us, what is your highlight from the weekend? What was one of your favorite moments?
The moment I saw was catching Damien. I spoke to Damien and I said, the last time I actually beat Damien was here at this track 8 years ago. So that moment just felt awesome. But still, an amazing ride from him as well.
You did do really well. It's pity about him having to pull out during the first race, but I mean, second race, he looked like he had a really good go.
Good, yeah.
And then tell me something, who made it possible for you to be here this weekend?
So I've got my personal sponsors that's been on board for quite some time. I've got an Expo Security Solution, Cargo Pack, PDJ Freight International, and then K9 Law Enforcement. The other guys really got overboard. They really helped me out. So thank you guys. I really appreciate it. And then obviously, as you know, the title sponsors, Bridgestone, Red Square, Kawasaki, and then SunBet, they went overboard. I mean, you could see that bike of mine with the SunBet case. People loved it. So yeah, it was amazing. Thank you.
Yes, and then one last thing, as far as I understand, if it wasn't for Mag Magic, you would not be in Cape Town today, would
Come
you?
boy, where you?
You should be here.
Byron, I owe you big time, my bud, big time. But yeah, I'll make sure I make up at Swartkops at least.
Yes, we have to see you at Swartkops. I suppose you will definitely be there.
Yes, most definitely.
Hi, thank you so much for your time. Well done today. And yeah, go get your silverware.
Cool.
It's about time.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
The 2024 SunBet ZX10 Masters Cup is proudly brought to you by SunBet, Red Square, Bridgestone, the tyre of choice, and Kawasaki South Africa.